just hold on. Okay.
It's okay. Welcome, everyone. If you're watching in, let me just click to see if we have begun. Yes, we have begun. Um, I haven't really a theme around today's podcast. Therefore, I've just left it open with our names, Rekha. And
Yeah.
I will choose to reintroduce you
Yeah.
through today and see how things come up based on our last conversation. So, to everyone watching in, thank you so much for joining us, whether live or through this recording. So, Rekha, I have known Rekha for the last,
A
wow,
decade.
I
I
don't
think
know,
almost a decade. Almost
about
a
9,
decade.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
Almost. Yeah. A decade.
yes. So, you are a women's spirituality teacher. You've used the word trainer also, a family constellation helper, an expressive arts therapist, and a certified compassionate inquiry practitioner. Your foundational wisdom is rooted in earth based indigenous wisdom, of your matrilineal ancestry and the yoga spiritual India. Currently, you reside and practice in and from Bangalore. That's where we met. And you
Yes.
have over 20 years of experience facilitating safe, open, compassionate healing spaces for all age groups. You offer a wide range of teaching, learning, and awakening opportunities through your initiatives of the She Stands Tall project and the Ordinary Human project. Wow. Somehow, like you said before we came live on this, you spoke about how things change, and something is changing within me because all this somehow earlier did not resonate as it's doing now. I want to welcome you warmly into today's live podcast. Thank you for making the time. And we were talking about how things change. And I would love for you to speak to that as we unpack today's conversation.
Yeah. I mean, if there's one thing that's permanent in life, that is change. I feel like every day I wake up and I feel like I'm not the person I was yesterday. It's literally I feel like that. So something met me yesterday, and the only times I don't feel like that is when I have remnants of yesterday that move into are carried with me over here, which I have not integrated or I'm still processing. Otherwise, when things are, when you're fully there, you met it and you felt it and you let it go, and the next day morning you wake up, you feel, whoa, it's a new day again. You feel fresh. And I feel that is the quality of life. I mean, every creature experiences. I mean, every creature is in that. They may not know that, but we have the opportunity to experience it and even know it, that everything is changing. And when we know and let that change happen, it's fresh. Life is fresh again. So yeah, so that's my take on change. Yeah. So when someone asks me, how are you, or how was life? It's uh, it's a very interesting question now to answer. Because I can answer in this moment, and it's moved so much. An hour back, it might have been a different response. Now it's a different response. Yeah.
Wow, we have barely begun, and I already have goosebumps. And I can see that you are moving through dimensions even right now. I can see that. Like as you are unraveling in this field, I can feel it, I can see it.
Yeah. And we are, I think we not I think we are multidimensional and multifaceted and multi, I mean, it's we're so much more than we know. At least I don't know myself, and I'm surprised many times. Yeah.
I'm glad you said that. It it feels like it dovetails very beautifully into uh, what I would like to invite you to share with us today. Is we come into this life and we are multidimensional, yet we are multidimensional, and for many of us, I still feel that there is scope to have this inner standing of what this means to be in this body incarnate. Those are the words that you have used as well.
Yeah.
And from that space of knowing, knowing we have come here and being and becoming, what is your sense of, the what's happening underneath all of that, this incarnation, this being, this becoming, if you can speak to that.
I feel like if we, it's such a personal thing, right? I feel it's very personal for each person. Like if we have 9 billion people on this planet, there are 9 billion realities that are going on. Yeah. And it doesn't, I don't need to know another person's reality, but I need to know that that reality is also their reality, and to be including of that reality. So while I include mine, I also include the others, whether we our realities might not be the same. Yeah. And for me, this word being is a very interesting word. uh, you know uh, I don't even know when everyone says being what they are meaning. So let me say, when I hear being, because that's again a very, we all might be hearing these words and having a different understanding. So I want to kind of maybe even from when I say being, what I mean, so the being for me is two words, like the be, to be, and the ing. It's like to say I write and I am writing. They have two different meanings. So when I say I'm writing, I'm talking about the present moment, and it is an active movement. So there is the be, which is to be, and being is to be in that. So it's every moment, it is a different movement. It is happening every moment. So it's like a writing. So being is like, the ing of the be. So we are always. So for me, that is, so there is no, so if we just take B, it's very dull. There's nothing in the B. The B is a very state, like it's a state of complete stillness. It's a witnessing state. So that's a, I wouldn't even call it dead, but that's just a state. It's like, but that when the ing meets with it, life or flow or movement, so my being is going to be very different from someone else's being, and that's, I feel, the multi-diverse, multi-dimensional, multi-reality that we are here to experience. So each of our beings, so though the be is the same, the ing of each one is so different. So the being is so different in each one. How each one of us experiences the being here in this life, in this body. Just like the light is the same, but the light that comes through every device, it means the device comes out, becomes something completely different. So it's just like that. I feel the being is such a, and I think we are here for that being experience, not the be experience, but the being experience. And I feel that is very profound. So to understand what is my being experience, and can I fully meet and allow myself in this being experience. I think that is the journey each one of us is on. Some of us are not able to have the being experience because we are in the doing experience. We don't have that. We haven't either. The witnessing of the be is not available, so we are driven by the doing. So these, I think each one of us is are on our own unique journey. Though we are all in the be, our journey and our experience is going to be very different depending upon the awareness of the be. The in changes, you know. Yeah. Does it make sense what I said?
It's a lot, and it doesn't have to make sense intellectually,
Yeah.
I, I'm thank you for that. So I'm kind of taking in, and there's so much, going on inside of me as you're saying this. It's very interesting that you bring to life the ing piece of being. In my awareness and in my field lately, it's interesting because the word love, um, and the attachment of the ing to love versus loving, has been something coming through for me over the last few days. And when you say this, it's not the same thing, but it's a similar vibration that's coming through. It's a similar energy because it is active. And I'm also smiling because, uh, you know I've always been very fascinated with classical dance from South India.
Mm.
Uh, and I don't know much about it technically, but it fascinates me, the whole art, the philosophy, the principles behind classical dance,
Mm.
uh, to the degree that when you say things like this, and when I even think about it on my own, which is the active, the verb,
Yeah.
the the action behind the language, which
Yeah.
is loving, being,
Yeah.
uh, and
Caring. Caring.
caring.
Doing. Like this. Yeah.
Uh, the download that comes through, and what's interesting, I'm also sort of weaving many things based on my understanding and understanding of this, is the whole classical dance comes to my mind as that action. And
Mm.
it is very, there is a rigor and a seriousness, but not in a boring way. It's a
Yeah.
seriousness to, and reverence. I think reverence is the energy, the
Yeah.
sacredness, the reverence behind the action,
Yeah.
which I have, in this timeline, in this current timeline and phase of my life, have begun to honor more, and pause to take in and sit with, and really feel that energy. It's very alive, it's very vibrant, there's a vibrance to it.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that you open that up, because that's currently something in my own reality which I have been looking at, and something that I am um, wanting to really sit with these days is, and I know on some level it's very intellectual, and I want to really go into it, which is listening with my whole being. And I just realized that I said that, the being part, listening with my whole being.
Yeah.
Uh, there's so much in this,
Mm.
it, it, we can never, I feel, as we are talking about this, it's so much of this, we don't really move away from it. It's like a rabbit hole. We
Yeah.
go deeper into it, and
Right.
we revisit it, and we open
Mm.
it up, There's so many different facets, dimensions to it, which is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, and as I'm saying this, what's coming up is uh, the part about us being willing being willing to come here and choose this body, um, and be in this body, and yet, the what you're also adding here is we could do that and move through life in a very straightforward fashion, and yet the being is there's so much there, so much complexity.
Yeah.
It's hard, it's challenging as well, it's messy.
Yeah. It is.
So what is, I know that the rhythm of this being, um, not so much the part about the static, but the beingness of it,
Yeah.
uh, is something that, you know uh, our viewers and myself would love to hear your reflections on. So
Yeah.
what is this, and how is it connected, especially to us being human?
Yeah. Yeah. Even as you ask that question, what is the rhythm of that being human, right? If you just take a moment just to sit, just to notice our rhythm, just in this moment. Yeah, I'm just going to give like few seconds for us. Yeah, do you notice something? If you want me to share, I can share. I mean, both can share. What do you notice in your being? Or maybe I will start, since I will share, so I won't put you on the spot. So what I notice, I notice my breath. That's the first thing I notice. I notice my breath, and I notice a deeper pull in my inhalation. And I know that I just before 20-30 minutes before I ate, I had a late breakfast, so the digestion, I'm sure, is there. So that it has some impact on my breath. So my breath is not easy, free flowing. Just before I ate, how it was, it is different. Then I notice pulse. I notice pulse here. I notice my pulse here. I notice my pulse in my hands. And I just notice my being like this. There's a pulse. I notice myself in that. Yeah. And yeah. And I notice a lightness in me in this moment. There's a lightness. And if I go a little bit more, I might also notice there is some tenderness and softness in me in this moment. And yeah, and there's also a part that is excited. Yeah, so my eyes are excited, are alive. I can feel it. I can feel it in my cheeks. I can feel energy. So this. So yeah, so that's how I am sensing my rhythm in this moment.
Thank you. What comes up for me is flow. And it's everything is so subtle.
Yeah, yeah. And what if I ask you what's the rhythm? So when you say rhythm, rhythm is not one, right? If there's just one, there is no need raw rhythm. Rhythm is when it's not one. It's more than one, then there's a rhythm.
Harmony.
But harmony is not a rhythm. Rhythm is harmonious. What rhythm do you notice? What is the rhythm in you right now? Like I see you moving. One is I see your body
Yeah,
moving.
movement, exactly. Movement,
Yeah,
pulse.
yeah, yeah. Right. And this rhythm that you said, pulse movement that I too experience in my breath, in my pulse. It can be as minute. It can go to the nanoth of second, and it can also be as big as eons, right? So that rhythm, and today we know that the distance between the atoms, or the electrons and the atoms inside, is very proportional to the distance between the earth and the sun. So like the microcosm and the macrocosm, the proportionality, so it's there is no, so the rhythm is uh, very exact in nature. It doesn't, like when we map it, or when you bring it into a picture, it has a very distinct formation. So it's not haphazard.
There's an order.
There's an order. Yes, there's an order to life. There's an order to energy. There's an order to nature. There's an order to the being as well. The ing has an order. And it's only human beings who experience the disorder, because we
Mm,
create, no other species really creates disorder. No species. In us, we think we can be without this order. We don't need this order, but the ing has a, the beat, the ing has a order. The ing has a very distinct rhythm that allows life to flow and meet and interact and express, end, begin. So there's an order, and I feel like that this movement, this coming in, going out, coming in, going out, coming in, going out. That is like, it's forever, it's there in everything. Yeah, so I feel there's a rhythm. There's a rhythm and order to life. And I
how?
think, go ahead.
Please go ahead. Please,
No, no,
please go ahead.
you ask the question. You might be asking the question that I'm going to answer.
We don't know that until we
Yeah,
experience.
yeah,
Uh, how how do we humans, being in this life, um, some of us are in tune, and as I say this, I also realize that even for us who are in tune, there are moments where we are out of tune. And so, what might be some ways for us to be in tune with this rhythm? Because the word natural is coming up.
yeah,
It's natural, it's not forced.
yeah,
And I think, as you said, for us as humans, we have forgotten this natural order.
yeah.
So how might we remember? How might we be in tune with this rhythm?
Yeah. And I mean, there's so many dimensions to who we are. If I look at the very basic for me, of to stay in tune with this rhythm, is breath, my breath. So anytime I'm breathing and I feel I'm exerting, or my breath has a sound, I am wondering what's happening to my physical existence, my structural integrity. What has happened? Because and it would have it, but before, that's the most gross level. So breath and body are the grossest. We come very down the tangible. But even before that, you might notice, like you're sitting, but you're not there. You're thinking. Your mind is running here and there. So you already know that there's a rhythm that is kind of already gone haphazard because I can't just be, right? So if you're not able to just still be still for 5 minutes, just sit without doing anything, not reading, not drinking anything, not watching television, not doing anything. If we can sit even 5 minutes, just sitting or lazing, whatever, not sleeping though, not meditating either. Usually, when we do, if we can take that 5 minutes also to not do anything, you will know the state of your health. You will know the state of your mind. You'll know the state of your being. You'll know the state. You'll notice your breath. You'll notice pain pockets emerging. So that's so today, people, how many people can sit even for 5 minutes without doing anything? So that quality we have kind of lost because in the human mind there is an ability called as the non-doing mind. We have a non-doing aspect of our brain has that capacity to be in that space of non-doing. But and we are all born with that. If you look at a baby can be in that state, without doing anything. Children can sit, children can sit, babies can sit. If they know someone is there safe next to them, they can sit, they will keep looking. Sometimes they'll just be looking at their hands. But in somewhere in the way that in villages or in village culture and indigenous cultures, where things were done close to the earth, the child will be put on a swing on a tree, and people are working and the child could just be there and will be there. Somebody will go and drop in between, look at the child play, the child will sleep, get up, or the mother will tie the child on the body, keep doing all the chores, and the child is there. And so so even in village culture today also you can see people will be sitting on next under a tree. Like sometimes when I go for drives, I can see there'll be like 5 grandfathers sitting under one tree. They might not even be talking, they're just sitting, sitting and just sitting, and they're looking, and so there is a quality to that. That's a very powerful. But in our growing up, if I remember, if I sit without doing anything, I was a child, I could sit for hours not doing anything. I would be pushed out of it. What are you doing? So I would be like, oh, I have to do something. What are you doing? You're not doing anything. What are you doing? Take your book, study, go out and play, or go do this, come help me. So then I know that, oh, this is not maybe okay. I cannot just, I have to do something. So that I have to do something. So I mean, even in my therapy, I see so many clients. I see I have to this thing about I have to do something. I'm not doing something. So this quality, it's a very human thing. No other species has this quality. So something in that I think that is showing off our unhealthiness. That's first recognition. That's not normal. That this urge that I have to continue to do something, even my mind, if I don't do, my mind starts doing. That's not natural. So I think that recognition, till we recognize that this is not natural, because this has been made natural, but this is not natural. I think that's the first realization that this something unnatural is happening to me. Yeah.
It's such a process. It's
It
a
is.
process of you know, un
Undo, unlearning, yeah.
learning, undoing. It's all
And it's
uh,
all true. Yeah.
and I'm so glad that you brought up breath, because it takes me back to um, 10 years, 9, 10 years ago, when I walked into, uh, you and I both share this Guruji's meditation center for a basic course Well, this wasn't at the ashram though.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember, that experience, how it felt, what was going on in my mind,
Yeah.
the resistance, and learning about breath.
Yeah.
And said it today, it took me back 9 plus years,
Yeah.
particularly because what you said felt so powerful from a perspective of sitting to learn and discover
Yeah.
what our breath, what our body, what our mind, what the field is saying. And also, the other thing that comes up for me is how all of these, breath, body, mind, the field, are tools.
Yeah.
They are tools to regulate this very complex, seemingly complex
Yeah.
thing, that we can then help tune in better to rhythm. So
Yeah.
one is to notice, the other is to help regulate. All of
Yeah.
these become our regulators, our tools,
Right.
which
Definitely.
we have just lost. We have lost, and it's free. It's so beautiful. It's natural. It's free.
Yeah. The breath is so natural and free. I think that's the, yeah, that's the breath is, I think, the greatest free tool. I mean, breath is our link to this body. I mean, we die and a breath is gone and then we are gone, So breath, I think investing in our breath is a very uh, powerful way of finding how if a powerful way of knowing ourselves in this incarnation of the body. If we tune into a breath, we know the state of our body, we know the state of our mind, we know the state of our being, the field, everything we can know. Just an assessment of our breath. Yeah. And that's where I think the rhythm comes for me. If you so breath is a single unit that connects the body, the mind, and all the other layers of our existence. And if you look at even our breath, right, our breath has that inhale, right, which expands, opens up the lungs, it takes in, and the exhale, which is automatically it goes down, contracts, right. So this movement of opening and contracting at the cellular and this whole organism, the breath works. And we usually are only thinking about the inhalation and exhalation, but there is a meeting point between the two. So it's not just inhale. There is a movement, there is a moment before inhalation, and there is a moment after inhalation. Yeah, so that means there is something after exhalation and there is something before exhalation. And since you mentioned Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, he always says there's a great mystery lies there. It lies in the in between spaces, because that's where the being is present. Because the minute we are inhale, we are in life, we are in the in. So the be is you get to tune into the be in between, because that's when if you take a breath in and hold the breath. And what you have to notice is when you hold the breath, instead of tightening the body, you have to loosen the body. Many times when people hold the breath, we tighten. It's not tightening. You have to lose the breath. You have to really ease the body. And then you can hold more.
Oh, wow. I never thought about that until you said that. How powerful that is.
Yeah, it is very powerful.
Oh
You could
my.
be there. You could be there for a while. Okay, and it's very powerful. Really powerful when you relax in that in between space. And you can do the same when you exhale. When you fully exhale, yeah.
The
So yeah,
yes, the life potential that you mentioned uh, beyond this call, before this call, for this call, is connected to this this rhythm and us being in this.
yeah,
So how do we as humans begin to naturalize and normalize uh, potential in a way that we can honor it and we can dance with it
yeah,
and move with it.
yeah. I think one thing that we have to really acknowledge first, I think, is that we live in a very not normal world. Yeah, just that we have created all these kind of ways of jobs and money. We've created this kind of, and it's only going to get complex and complex. That's great. I see that as humanity is exploring what it can do. That's great. But if we start believing that that is required for my survival and thrival on this earth, that's foolishness. That we don't need any of that to exist. None of that is needed to exist. Okay.
I just have to say this. I know you're going to go on, but I'm so happy that you're bringing this up because it's such a deeply rooted collective part of the lack of consciousness, no? This whole
Yes.
um, complex systems of jobs, and actually this whole thing is dismantling the
Yeah.
systems of how we see our work, what
Yeah.
is work, and what is money. And
Right.
my gosh, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps again because this itself is a whole other
Yes.
segue and segment. And I really feel quite naturally that I would be totally delighted to speak into this on another session with you because this is important. We
Yeah.
have current generations living with older generations, and it's so broken, the connection and communication towards understanding work and the energy of money. And
Right.
uh, all of it is dismantling. We can see this economically. We can see the world of business. We can see the world of jobs and the marketplace and what talent means and why it's not working. It's not working. And the
Right.
current generation can see that.
Right.
The older generations could not. They were completely asleep and following this under hypnosis. But the current generations are maybe consciously, maybe subconsciously rejecting these belief systems.
Yeah.
Uh, and coming back to what you're talking about from the perspective of life and life force flowing through us and our life potential, um, even briefly within the scope of today's call, if you could share some of those things, we would be very grateful too.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Caroline. I just want to acknowledge, your response and appreciation of what I'm saying. For me, sometimes I take this what I know as so. It's not uh,
Normalize.
Yeah, yeah, you respond with such your
Yeah,
enthusiasm, yeah. So that I'm very moved by that. And what I also want to say is that I love systems. I love the changes that are happening in technology. I love how, from where living as hunter gatherers and from that ancestry of the ape, and how we have walked, and what we have built in such a short amount of time, the kind of earth we have built, like what are maybe buildings. I don't have any I'm not against any of develop. I appreciate that, but but the thing is, we have made that as a necessity. It's not a necessity, it's an expression of us developing, wanting to explore. That's great, we want something
it's
more.
fooling us. I feel, I'm maybe it's inappropriate to bring this in here, but the former singer Prince, I remember this video where he talks about the internet, and um, it's a parallel to this. I'm realizing now that he says that we can use it, but are we being used by it? Is it dictating our sense of being? Is it
Right.
dictating our life and the way we see our lives? And the answer is yes, it is.
Yeah.
We have completely come away from natural systems, and you're right, systems are important. Our body is a complex
Yeah.
formation and design of systems, but the systems that we have created are
Yeah.
not working for us. We have to make them work for us. We
Correct.
have to know how to positively, healthily manipulate these systems in a way that works for us versus working against us.
Right. Yeah. And I would say it in a simple sentence would be to bring consciousness into the system. This is because the conscious system is already in consciousness. It's when people walk into a corporate, they completely cut off a part of them. They go there bereft of consciousness. So that, so I think it's also our own journeys as human beings. So we have built something, now we have to bring consciousness into it. So I think it's also the journey. As more and more people come into consciousness, the systems will also get infused with the awareness of consciousness. Consciousness is already there, part of all of the systems. Systems are coming up in consciousness only, but the awareness of consciousness of those in the system will make the consciousness more palpable, more palpable, more so that consciousness has to be at the center of systems. Why are we building these things? Why are we building that? Is it for who are we building these for? What is the purpose of this? Where did the, that with that I think, and I feel like that's why it's more important to invite more and more people into consciousness. So when each person's consciousness reaches that level of I am important and this is what is important for me, that starts showing up. When systems don't work, and when we say people are being manipulated, I really don't also agree with that, because we are all adults here, but many times people do not know they are adults and they can choose for themselves and they have a right to existence and that they are important, as important. So I think that knowing is what is people don't know. That knowing is what so that's the lack of consciousness, because when you have consciousness you will know that I am as essential and important as every other life. Then I can ask for it. So I think everything is interconnected, I think, so it can't just be in systems. That whatever is in systems, you will also see it in the smallest unit, which is home. So systems outside are just a bigger magnified lens of the smallest system. So nothing is so, as our communal systems have also disrupted and become more nuclear, this nuclearness is also formed part of the system, where it is me, myself, I don't care for you, So the nuclearness seeps into, so I think, again, if you come back to the smallest unit, when that again starts forming community and says I and you are, the we is, very important. What happens to me happens to you, and what happens to you happens to me. That's it. It is, at some point it will happen to me too. So then when that, I think, then the system's automatic. But many times we are just focusing on the system and exhausting energy versus focusing on ourselves, rebuilding that consciousness, the breath. Because I see people who work, in activism and who work against systems. I notice their breath, they hardly breathe. Their breath is so exhausted, so they really don't have consciousness. There's a lack of consciousness. Then you can't really bring consciousness into system. So it's the same system, it's not any different. So I think focusing on consciousness, and at the minutest level, focusing on our breath, becomes such and seeing that rhythm in everything, you know I think that has becomes very important. um, yeah.
It feels like we've come full circle back
Yeah, to the breath.
and to rhythm
And to
and to
rhythm.
rhythm.
And
That's
to
how
rhythm.
we began and opened this up, and it closed loops so beautifully because as you were saying this, bringing
Yeah.
awareness of consciousness, and there's something that I always think about. Choice is a function of expanded awareness,
Yeah, definitely.
and we can give ourselves permission. We are all adults,
Yeah,
and most of the time we are living out very toxic old programs.
very true.
Most programs are from our childhood
Yeah,
and we don't even know. And
right.
therefore, just this pause to cognize and to recognize, where
Yeah,
is this coming from? Who am I in this?
yeah.
Uh, and you used words. I mean, you used your hands when you were saying awareness and consciousness. And the word that came through when you said that was shift. It's a shift,
Mhm.
shifting,
Yeah,
a higher shift, an elevation,
yeah,
and it's movement again.
yeah,
It's a movement and it's dynamic. We can always shift, we can shake it up, we can, and this is something that we learn even at the ashram, right? Before meditation, we
right.
move our bodies.
What?
In
Yes,
Eastern philosophies, we shake it up. We
right,
shake our bodies. We move because that itself, life force is there. It's in us. And every
right.
time we do this, we become aware. We're awake. We're like, come back now.
Yeah,
And that's what's coming through right now as you're saying these things, that
yeah,
we have so much power, and
yeah,
we can retain this power each time we wake up and we're aware,
yeah,
and we can, you know uh, we can change the if it's not working, we have
yeah,
to change, and we have this power to do it. We don't have to keep going down this cycle of
yeah,
doing.
right.
um, it's so beautiful, and I love how you spoke about coming back again to the breath,
Yeah,
regulating
yeah,
regulating the rhythm,
yeah,
and maintaining it is so important too. Maintenance of the rhythm
yeah.
is important.
Yeah, and I want to say that when we say rhythm, our breath, since we're talking about the breath, our breath is connected to everything around us. Like we breathe in oxygen, right? So our plants and trees around us provide that oxygen. And when we breathe out carbon dioxide, they take that carbon dioxide and they release oxygen. And so this process, if you see this, the ability to the breathe in this way, When the light is on and when there is daytime, if you see all the plants, if you look at plants during the day and if you look at plants at night, they're very different. If you look at them in day, you know that morning has come, the plants are moving and they're, and if as the evening comes, you'll see all the leaves become quiet. They are resting too. They are not doing this job actively. So that is not the time for us to be active. So when we work, so when they are active, they are the ones who are actually keeping us going, keeping our breath going. So to get fresh, clean breath for us to breathe and be in life and to experience consciousness comes from this ecosystem around us. So when we align our movement with theirs as well, we are supported. So waking up with light, and resting with night, this is built into the rhythm. This is built into the human incarnation. It is cellularly built. So every part of our organ system is connected to a particular clock when it starts doing what it needs to do. Like liver has a 3 a.m. cleanse. It does that. So every organ has something like that. There's a time that it knows. There's a that's a circadian clock. We have a billion-year-old clock, a biological clock. It is built in us. Yeah, we don't need to consciously know it. It works. Like 9 p.m. at night, you will get a yawn if you're aware of it. But then the yawn will come. You might be talking, the yawn comes, and then you're like, oh, you will try to wake yourself up and you want to stay up. And then we shift it. But 9 p.m., that melatonin release needs to start happening at 9 p.m. So it will begin that process. It sends a signal. The pituitary sends a signal. We yawn. That means, okay, reduce the light, retreat, sleep. So the melatonin can be released, the organ health and its vitality. And that process can really happen because between midnight to 2 a.m. is the peak of melatonin release. If we are sleeping, that's the peak of darkness. Same time in the morning around 8 a.m. it stops. There's no more melatonin secretion. When there is light, it doesn't come. So then people are sleepy and and they say 10 a.m. I don't know if I said this even last time. 10 a.m. is the sharpest, is the freshest time of the day. When many times at 10 a.m. people are feeling drowsy and we are having coffee. So that just shows that our rhythm is completely off, so I think that circadian rhythm. So breath is not a standalone. We can stand alone, regulate and breathe. We are connected to this ecosystem. We are interconnected, interrelated to this life on earth. Everything, even an ant is as important to our existence as an elephant. So I think a grass is as important as a banyan tree. So they all play their role in this ecosystem, and even the absence of one will affect our health. I feel it, and that's what's happening. So many things have already gone extinct. So our biology is also shifting. Human biology is also getting changed. We are in an evolutionary process, I think. Right. And this, so if I go into the layers, like I think that's something I think we said last time we will go into. So the circadian is one layer. There's so many layers, and then you have the layer of the season. So it's circadian is a small layer. Then you have the moon layer. The moon is also moving, and it is connected to seed germination. It is connected to growth of plants, and the transfer of nutrients, and the root system of trees. And so these are all having an impact. The water, the movement of water is controlled by the moon. The moon really pulls the water in and out. So that movement of the moon has an impact also on the trees. And also, I mean, women, it has an impact on our bleeding system. But that is one that also has the same rhythm, exactly like our breath. It has a rhythm. It has that pull and push, and the in between. Right? And then the season, because the earth is moving around the sun. So there is again the light, We have light which becomes very lit, and then it starts diminishing, becomes really dark and cold and hot and warm, and so there again there is an in between system. So it's like there's so many, the same microcosmic breathing, inhalation, hold, exhalation, hold, that is happening at so many layers, and they are all connected to our ability to breathe, our ability to have an easy, natural. So in earlier days, we had something in Ayurveda called Dinacharya, which kept changing with the face of the moon, with the season. So you don't do the same thing throughout the year. It changed. The food you ate changed. How combination of foods changed. Everything changed. So this is all built in so that the breath, the body, that structural integrity of that unit system is matching with what's happening outside in the ecosystem. So there's so many layers to it. Yeah.
Being in tune with our own rhythm feels like the most important,
Yeah.
essential, and that's where our attunement with all of life comes through. Being
Right.
sincere with our own rhythm and our own way of being.
Mm.
And it is the most natural, but we have fallen out of naturalness. We have
Yeah.
fallen out of knowing. It's there inside of us. And having these tools, as simple as they might seem, uh, we have forgotten.
Mm.
We have forgotten it collectively, we've forgotten it individually. And as I say this, something that comes through is that children are so natural
Yeah.
in every way. It's so splendid to watch them, their breath, their way of being,
Mm.
their joy. It's so natural
Mm.
until they are just conditioned, and all of those, man made layers are placed on them and on us. And
Yeah.
therefore, removing, peeling back all of this to get to the core of who we are feels like the most essential um, way of being.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for opening these layers up, these dimensions, these systems.
Yeah.
The breath is also a system.
Yeah.
Our body is a system of systems. Our mind is. And therefore, like you said, as within, so without, as in the microcosm, so in the macrocosm. Um, and, healing, restoring, rejuvenating these systems is our responsibility, our ability to be responsive to these systems, to honor them, to revere them. And I want to thank you for your important work that you facilitate um, in guiding in uh, this recognition um, and opening today's space up. I imagine many other such conversations as I'm seeing many layers to this unfolding too. Thank you for allowing me and us to be in this space with you as you share this, and for it to reverberate within us, um, and to see and to allow what comes up so that we might take these nuggets of wisdom, and you use the word integrate before we came on live. Integration is such an important part of this as well. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. I love you. And I send you, um, good heart vibrations.
Thank you so much, Caroline, and thank you so much for this such a rich conversation. Yeah, a conversation filled with consciousness. Yeah, that's what I feel like, really, like a dip in consciousness. Yeah, and a conscious dip in consciousness. And I really want to kind of, appreciate you and applaud you for the work you do and for this, for these conversations that happen on the, Feminine Energy podcast. Even not just this, but even the others. So it is so important to kind of, for us to keep opening more and more opportunities for people to open their minds and expand their minds. And yeah, so I'm honored to be here, and I loved being here with you, and I love you too. So it's just really wonderful to be here. Yeah.
So wonderful. And to all of our viewers, wherever you may be, this is our loving invitation for you to be in this space, because you are welcome, you so belong, and we send you, our radiant heart vibrations through these conversations for you to partake in, participate in, take away, come back into, look at, um, uh, experience, take up, and take with you. So thank you for watching and being a part of this space with Rekha and myself. We look forward to seeing you on our next episode very, very soon. Thank you so much. See you soon.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.